What's up, Spellslingers and Highlander enthusiasts? Havoc here, and today I would like to present you with another EDH deck tech. We're starting to get Battle Bond spoilers, and I am so excited. Two-Headed Giant has got to be one of my favorite limited formats, and I can't wait to play it. But in the set, we also get a new and very interesting mechanic. Ever since the partner ability came out in Commander 2016, EDH players like myself have been clamoring for more partner commanders. And in Battle Bond, we got just that. Well, sort of. The new mechanic for Battle Bond is Partner With, which means that two creatures can be partnered together, but only with each other. As much as I'm bummed that these new creatures won't be able to partner with the other partner commanders, I get it. Making more partner commanders that are powerful and interesting is dangerous and could potentially break the game more than the current partners already have. So in all, I love this and I can't wait to start brewing some unique commander decks, and I have one for you today. Now, these two, oh man. I want to know the story behind these Partner With commanders because I feel like it's gotta be good and it's gotta be heartbreaking at the same time. I want to know more. So here's the brew that I've been working with. First, we have Regna the Redeemer. Regna is a legendary angel on a 4/4 body costing 5 and 1 white, whose text box reads, Partner With Krav the Unredeemed. We'll get to him in a second. But she's an angel, so of course she has flying, and then she gets this sweet third ability that reads, at the beginning of each instep, if your team gained life this turn, create 2 white warrior creature tokens. Now, this is obviously both in the life gain and token lanes, which is unique by itself, but it only gets better when we take a look at her partner. Krav the Redeemed is a legendary demon on a 3/3 body costing 4 and 1 black. He partners with Regna, and then he also has a very powerful ability which reads, pay 1 black, sacrifice X creatures, then target player draws X cards and gains X life, and put X 1/1 counters on Krav the Redeemed. Now, the counters are nice, and I have to try really hard not to chase that rabbit, but the true value here is staring us straight in the face. Sacking creatures to draw cards and gaining life. That is awesome. Now, you can sack more to draw more and gain more if you want, or you can just use it to trigger Regna. This is a true Orzhov power couple here, and I love it. In fact, Krav is crazy powerful on his own, but since we've already done a mono black aristocrats deck on the channel very recently, I think we should focus on these two as a couple and being partnered in the command zone with each other. So let's talk about the breakdown real quick. Tokens are going to be very important to this deck, and Regna and Krav are very self-contained because they feed off of each other, but they still need something to get the cycle going and a backup plan in case one or both are removed and their command tax gets too high. The other thing we need to be concerned about getting this cycle going is, of course, life gain, and we'll have a few options to help us there as well. Next thing that warrants talking about is ramp. I know it sounds boring, but we aren't in green here, and we have high CMC commanders. That's right, plural commanders. So we better have a plan to get these out early. Our last two parts that we need to talk about is this aristocrats theme and how we're going to be running it and fueling it as well. And the other is just Orzhov good stuff that we'd be fools if we didn't run. So first, let's talk tokens. First off, we have a great token generating creature in Ophiomancer. Now, if our engine is running like it should and both Regna and Krav are on the battlefield, this should give us a snake token on each turn to sack so we can trigger both of their abilities. Bloodline Keeper is another great token generator that gives us great tokens that have flying to be able to use in whatever way we need to, or we can sack them to Krav's ability. Emiria Angel gives us bird tokens on land drops, which is nice, and we also have Heliod, God of the Sun. Now, this isn't the best token generator at 4 mana to create 1 token, but it's still something, and he's a god with indestructible, so that's nice too. Next, we have Kalidas, Trader of Get. And Cletus really is a best friend to the Aristocrats deck that we're going to be making our opponents sacrifice their own creatures and getting tokens for us to sack more creatures, and again and again and again. You see how this goes. We also have Crested Sunmare, which is a kind of a newer card, but in a life gain deck, this can do some serious work with getting us great 5/5 horse tokens that we can sack, or they're good creatures too to use in combat. So we have options there. Next is Indrixar, Master Breeder. This is a great token generator, and we shouldn't ever get more than 7 thralls on the board because we can keep sacking them. So Indrik is going to keep on creating more thrall tokens every time we cast a creature card, which is great. Grave Titan, of course, is in the deck. You get 2 tokens on the ETB and when it's attacking, so it's just good. We're also running 3 Planeswalkers to aid us in our token generation in the deck in Gideon, Ally of Zendikar. This is, in my opinion, the best Gideon Walker, and it fits perfectly for us, being able to create tokens on his 0 ability and being able to assist us in other ways as well. Gideon is just great here. We also have Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, just a powerful walker, and it makes tokens. And if he stays on the battlefield for any amount of time, he's going to get out of control and true value for us. Finally, we have Elspeth, Sun's Champion. This is the best white planeswalker in my opinion, but I don't know of anyone who would argue with me. And it just so happens that she is great at making tokens for us to sack and can give us a true in-game threat in the emblem that she makes. Hidden Stockpile is more token generation in the enchantment slot that we should be able to activate almost every one of our turns. And of course, we're running Anointed Procession. What would a token generation deck be without this white Parallel Lives card in the 99? So yes, we have Anointed Procession. Like I said before, we should be getting plenty of tokens as long as our commander's engine is running. But every good deck needs to run redundancy to make sure our strategy is going to work in various circumstances. Next, we need to talk about life gain, and we just have a few options here, but Soul Warden and Soul's Attendant are auto includes. These are just life gain all-stars, and it helps us for very little investment even when our opponents are casting creatures. So this can help trigger Regna on our opponent's turns and get more of those tokens for us to sack. Drana's Emissary is just automatic life gain on our turn, and so if we're having trouble getting more tokens out, at least it'll be able to trigger Regna on our turn. Kambal, Console of Allocation, is a great effect that can help keep Regna's ability online for each of our opponent's turns, which really gets Regna's ability the true value that it deserves. Sunscorch Regent is just the best parts of both Kambal and Soul Warden, and it gets bigger over time, and it gains us life, and it's a threat in the air that your opponents will have to answer at some point, and it's just awesome. And finally, we have Authority of the Consuls, which is just great creature hate here, forcing your opponent's creatures to come in tapped, and gaining us life at the same time is perfect for us. Token generation and life gain are obviously the 2 pillars of this deck. And again, we need that redundancy for both if we want this deck to be competitive. Let's talk about ramp. When we have commanders that are 5 and 6 CMC, we need to have ramp. And like I said before, we're not in green, and so we need to have a plan put together. I think it would be nice if we could get Krav out by turn 4 and then subsequently Regna out on turn 5. That would be the dream scenario here, so we can get our engine online as soon as possible. So our mana ramping creatures are Cryptghast, and this is great. It can almost double our mana, and that's awesome. And we also have Solemn Simulacrum, which again, we aren't in green, so this is just great for us. We're running, of course, the Soul Rings and the Orzhov Signets, but 2 other artifacts that help us ramp and actually aid us in what we're trying to do is the monuments of both Bantu and Oketra. These are just both of what we want to be doing, gaining life and giving us tokens, and they ramp us at the same time to at least get our commanders out on the field faster. Pristine Talisman is a mana rock that gains us life, and so yes, we obviously want that in the deck. Commander's Sphere is great early game ramp, and it can give us card draw in the late game if we need it, like if Krav gets dealt with and we aren't drawing cards from him. I think Black Market is an obvious auto include here too. It's going to get tons of counters on it with us sacking our creatures and other creatures dying, and so it's going to give us a lot of mana over time. In our commanders, we have a great mana sink as long as we have the tokens to support it, and we should. So we need to do our part to make sure that we have the mana to keep it going. Next, let's talk about the Aristocrats theme. You need Zulaport, Cutthroat, and Blood Artist in this deck. It gives us life gain, and it drains our opponents when we sack our tokens. It's just obvious here. And of course, Butcher of Malakir and Dictate of Erebos are so oppressive, and they can keep the board clear if they stay on the battlefield. Martyr's Bond gives us the same effect, but it's in white, and so just, again, more redundancy is going to make this deck run that much smoother. And since we're going to be sacking everything, we need to make sure that we're cashing in on it. So any other Aristocrats type creatures or artifacts or enchantments, go ahead and put them in here if you have the space, because you're going to get a lot of value out of it. And finally, let's just talk about the Orzhov good stuff that we have available to us that will help our deck run more smoothly and be real threats on the battlefield. First, we have Eily Eternal Pilgrim. Now, I think a lot of what this deck wants to be doing is what Eily was lacking at. Eily has great removal, but my deck always struggled with the card draw area to enable you to keep your foot on the gas in the late game. I think this might be a good matchup between these two partner commanders and Eily in a future Top Commander episode, but we'll see. Anyways, Eily is great for our deck. It fits in perfectly, and it gives us great removal as long as we can stay above 50 life. Karlov of the Ghost Council gives us another great removal option, and it helps us get around those indestructible creatures or any graveyard shenanigan decks, and it fits in perfectly with our life gain theme. Bastion Protector gives us great protection for both of our commanders. Because they have high CMC, we need to protect them as much as we can. Next, we have Ravos Soul Tender, and this is just great value here, being able to get back our creature cards from the graveyard and pumping the board. It's just great, and he's in our colors, so why not run him? We also need to think about Sidisi Undead Vizier. Since we have the sack fodder lying around, we might as well get a tutor out of it, right? And Vana, Butcher of Magan, yet another removal option that is fueled by our life gain, which can really come in handy in the later game when big creatures are coming onto the board. And Sheoldred Whispering One is just good. She's just so good, and we want these good stuff cards to really top off our mana curve in the deck. So that's it. This combination of Regna and Krav is so interesting, powerful, and awesome. And on top of all of that, there's a lot of support for what this deck already wants to be doing. And if you're like me and you have an Eily deck already built, then you probably have 90% of this deck already in your collection. But these two might even be better than Eily. I don't know, we'll have to see. But I want to know what you think. Is there anything I'm forgetting here with the life gain and tokens theme? What do you think of this partner pair of Regna and Krav? Are you like me and you want to know their backstory as well, or am I alone here? I want your answers to these questions and your thoughts in the comment section down below. Once again, my name is Havoc, and this has been an EDH Deck Tech. Thanks for watching, happy brewing, and we'll see you next time.